So in this video I'm building a T4 Transporter 1.9 TD diesel engine. I've actually already started removing most of the engine components off the engine itself. The final bits like the crank and the oil filter housing coming off next, and then I'm going to start cleaning up components and start putting it back together.
Right. They don't look too bad. There's a bit of wear in some of them. I've got new ones. I've got some plastic gauge to check. Yeah, you can go in the bin. There's an oil squirter, and that pretty much redirects oil flow from the block up to the skirt of the piston and lubricates it. So quite important then, and also quite expensive.
What I'm doing now is removing the oil and vacuum pump that runs on the back of the cam belt. This pretty much pumps all the oil for the engine and all the vacuum for your brakes, etc. And then I'm going to hone the cylinder boards to kind of put the cross hatching back in, which helps with compression and holding oil. I did actually start honing using WD-40. It's pretty aggressive, so I switched to engine oil, and the cross hatching came out quite nice. Now I'm chucking the oil squirters back in. I did give them a blow through with some compressed air just to try and get any old bits of oil out, and I left them soaking in fresh oil as well, so hopefully when I start it up they're going to be already primed with oil. What I'm doing now is putting the main bearings in, giving the caps a clean up, and I can cut up some plasti gauge to check the running tolerances, which will tell me if the crank needs a regrind or I can get away without. The tolerances from the plasti gauge were good for the most part. A couple of them came back a bit tight, but I didn't really fancy sending the crank away to get reground and oversizing, so I just left it. What I'm doing here is installing the front main seal with a little bit of oil, and then I can put the oil pump, vacuum pump and a pulley back on with some assembly lube on the bearings. Now I need to start disassembling the pistons and rods, mainly just to give them a clean up. A couple of them were bent before, so I'm swapping those rods out with the engine that I bought to replace it, which isn't ideal, but all four will be from the same engine. I'm also giving them a little bit of a measure up, checking against the Haynes manual to make sure that they're in spec, which all of them were. While I was waiting for new rings to arrive, I thought I'd clean up the block a little bit, install the oil filter housing, the breather pipe, which I actually installed upside down in the video, and the water pump can go on. Once the piston rings had arrived, I checked all the end gap tolerances by pushing them into the cylinder bores and measuring it with a feeler gauge. And I was happy with all of them, so I could install all the rings on the pistons, install the big end bearings on the pistons, and get them installed in the engine.
Is what I need.
What I'm doing now is plastic gauging again the big end bearings, bolting and torquing the caps down, and now I can take it all back apart and measure the plastic gauge with the card that comes with it, and they all turned out to be in spec. What I'm doing now is setting the block to top dead centre. Now I'm bolting up the fuel pump just so I can get the cam belt on and turn the engine over a couple times, make sure everything moves freely and double check the timing. Now what I'm doing is timing up the fuel pump with a cheap fuel pump timing kit I bought off of Amazon, I think 20 quid. It pretty much involves turning the engine back and forth and then rotating the fuel pump until the DTI displays the spec that's in the Haynes manual. Finish putting the injectors in, I've got to install the ancillaries like the alternator, the sump, the oil pump, intake manifold, and then get the engine back in the van. Annoyingly, I've managed to delete all the footage of me actually installing the gearbox and putting the engine back in the van, which wasn't the most pleasant job in the pouring rain, but it went in alright. I did have some issues with the clutch slave cylinder, but I got a replacement from the local scrappers. I'd say I've probably done 2,000-3,000 miles in the van since. Changed the oil a couple of times as well, and so far no issues.